Hi there everybody, welcome into the stream for today. Guess it's the 15th of February. And today we're doing something that I hope will be quite a bit of fun. We're messing with a Super NT from Analogue. This is a new FPGA based console, so it's working on sort of a similar idea to the AVS, which I've used in all my previous streams, and I love. This is a Super Nintendo solution though. As far as the stream goes today, actually let me move into our second slide, so to speak. The points of interest for this week. By the way, hello Link. Welcome to the stream. So I just want to give a brief idea of what we're doing here. I've got a new microphone set up. Again, after last week I wanted to try something else kind of new. So, as always, just tell me how the audio levels are and we'll get them figured out by the end. This time I have yet another makeshift solution. I have this light stand that I don't really use anymore because the room I'm in is pretty small to set up lights, so I've taped my microphone to it, and I've taped this Q-tip rig that I made to act as a pop screen, so hopefully my peas don't pop, is the idea. But again, tell me how things work, and I'll keep on going for it. Also want to lay out some future streams that we have coming up that you guys can look forward to. A big one is we're looking at a keyboard-based Famiclone in probably next week, I'm going to guess. It's a Matrix Famiclone. Very cool. There's some neat programming stuff on there, as well as music making capabilities. And also, I've got an SD to SNES flash cart coming, and that'll work great with the Super NT as well. And we'll play tons of games, and I've already got a few that I really want to look at. But without further ado, let's take a look at the Super NT. Oh, also, you might notice that we have the chat experience. So this will it'll make more sense when we go to archive these and I'm talking to people in chat. It's a little bit weirdly stretched. I might work on that a little bit more, but for now, it's what we've got. So I got a stack of games here that we'll look at throughout the stream probably, but first of all, we've got Super Turrican Director's Cut and Super Turrican 2. These are the pack-in games. And they actually even send you a Super Nintendo-style box for Super Turrican Director's Cut. And we'll play a little bit of this. I'm not crazy about it. I think it's a pretty good game, but I don't want to devote too much time to it. It's got to load into memory, though, first. So this is a run-and-gun game by Factor 5, who I think is probably most well-known for the Star Wars Rogue Squadron games, probably, if I could guess. I think we can, this is just story, we can skip it. Just show the gameplay a little bit. So, first things first, I was really impressed by, I guess the graphics. I guess they're kind of basic, but they're this super colorful, which sort of makes it contrast with Contra a little bit, which is what the only other game I really associate with this genre. So I like that. It's pretty fast-paced. Apparently the story behind this is that this is the version of Super Turrican that they wanted to originally release, but it'd be too expensive to produce the cartridges or something, so they had to cut it down drastically. And now this is the full version that's included with the Super NT. And as you can tell, it looks absolutely amazing. This is running in 1080p. I got a wind effect here, a la Super Mario Bros. 2. Yeah, it's running in 1080p, and it looks really nice. I can't really see any of the telltale signs of one of these old consoles running at 1080p. And I guess the reason for that is that they've implemented this thing called interpolation. And I'm not even going to try to explain that, really. But basically, it makes it so that you can have these non-integer scales work properly and look nice without any shimmering effects. Definitely recommend the My Life in Gaming review of the Super NT. I'll probably do a review myself, even though I don't really think I have much to add. But they did a great video where they explain all this stuff really in depth, and I thought it was just really impressive. But yes, this is a pretty fun game, and it runs perfectly, as you would hope from the packing game of a console. It's pretty neat. Might cover that in my full review. And then the other game's more of the same, really, though it does have some like voice in it actually, which was sort of surprising. The person says power up and stuff when you collect the power ups. But yeah, I guess they did that back on the NES. Even Wisdom Tree was able to pull that off, but it was still kind of interesting to see. So, let's start running some cartridges, shall we? I've got just a handful here that I literally pulled off the shelf, so who knows exactly what we're getting. But there are two that we gotta try out. And the first that I want to look at here is one of my Brazilian games. This is Super Mario World Revised. I've played this previously on the stream before, but now we're doing it in beautiful, clear, high-definition 1080p. And we can look at some of the features, too, that the NT has to offer. So, Super Mario World Revised is a really poor ROM hack of Super Mario World. It didn't seem to be that popular, really, but some South American, I believe Brazil in particular, bootleggers put it on a cartridge and released it down there, and you can see it in various images taken from the bootleg markets there, which is why I wanted to get a copy. It is very bare bones, and the level design is pretty horrible. Still, this is one of the first games I tested my NT with, and instantly I noticed how responsive it feels. Having played my Super Nintendo on just hooked up directly to the LCD TV that we have, I'd sort of gotten used to it being really laggy and looking horrible, so this was a bit of a revelation when I saw this looking so nice and playing so perfectly. I don't think I've really had an experience quite like this with the Super Nintendo since my old CRT, like 10 years ago or something. And of course this looks better than even a CRT in many respects. I guess it depends on who you're asking, but I think it looks amazing. See, this is part of the reason why the level design's not so good here. Shoot. Like, how are you supposed to know that there's not a hole here? I guess you can kind of see, like, a pixel that would imply that there's ground here, but it's just not the best. Shoot. You'll notice, too, that the levels, though they're different, are very recognizable as the original levels, which is personally not something I really like all that much. When I play a ROM hack, I really want it to feel different. The best kind of ROM hacks feel like the sequels we never got, or at least bring something really new and different to the table. There'll be a review of this, too, at some point, this Mario Revised. Because this level design, I feel, needs to be deconstructed and analyzed a little bit. I actually, for the longest time, I thought that this might have been a straight-to-cartridge hack, if that makes any sense. Like, a Brazilian company used Lunar Magic themselves and didn't release the ROM online, just sent it straight to cartridge. Which would have been more interesting, but eventually I did find the original ROM. It's really early for a Mario World ROM hack, too. Coming out in 2000. I think Lunar Magic released that same year. And you can definitely... I mean, it's got the telltale signs of being a very early Mario ROM hack. I have played it a few times. I've played through it all the way, actually. Star World, in particular, is pretty dumb, to be honest. I do feel like it would, oddly enough, make for a really good speedrun, though, because it is, it's basically crazy how an optimal path through it would be. I think it would involve a lot of dying, probably. To be able to get certain power-ups. In particular, the feather. I don't know. No one knows about this game, though, so I don't think that's going to be showing up at GDQ anytime soon. Also, if the gameplay audio is low, just tell me and I'll get that fixed too. I think now that I've got the microphone closer to me, which was an advantage of having it set up this way, but I don't want to overshadow the game audio that much. We've got a very clean sound to it. At least it should. I guess it's 48 kilohertz, which is more than the original Super Nintendo even. I don't know if that really makes a difference at all. From what I've heard, not really. But the audio should sound very nice. Whoa! Yoshi's dead. And I'm dead. Well, no, I'm not. Whoa! Okay, maybe I could speedrun this, actually. I'm impressing myself. So, something this game does that I feel is kind of antithetical to a lot of the core gameplay ideas behind Super Mario World is it locks a lot of its content behind the Switch Palaces. Like, it's absolutely necessary. Thanks, McCafe. I've already replaced you. I've told you to go away. I've already replaced you with something better. Wonderful. This is an SNES bootleg, actually. And we'll look at one other one, too. One that's more interesting. But yes, this is a Brazilian release. I saw a really interesting Super Mario All-Stars release from Brazil that I almost got, but I ended up deciding not to. I might mess with that chat window a little bit. Kind of looks weird. Let's see, we're doing it live. Well. There used to be a way you could actually add chroma key to it, which would be the best way to do it is just remove the white background layer. I don't know. Everyone's text is going to be stretchy, I guess. For now, anyway. Okay, we'll play up through the first world, and then we'll move on to the other bootleg I got for SNES before we play some licensed games. So this part, you're required to at least play the Yellow Switch Palace, because otherwise you won't have the block or a feather to get up there. And I've tried to do it without it, and it just won't work. You can see the liberal use of lunar magic assets, like the red coin and the yellow mushroom. Which, if I understand correctly, were actually in the code for the original Super Mario World. They just weren't used. Okay. And it just doesn't have much flow to it. Like, stuff like this looks very, very cheap, I guess. But I mean, it was on the forefront of Mario on Max. Okay, thanks for that. It'll be the definitive release. I do think this level actually does something kind of interesting, though. So we'll see that shortly. Oh, shoot. It is my dream to have something I create be bootlegged. Then I will have, it will have all come full circle. It's just random stuff stuck like all over. This guy is, that must be pretty uncomfortable. So this is the kind of interesting part. You never really get this in the actual Mario world. This is like hyper speed version of the auto scrolling. You have to press it before you fall off. Whoa. Okay. Exactly. Okay, so that is just a brief look into Super Mario World Revised 2.1. It's not exactly the best iteration on the game, but it is something. It's a very early Mario ROM hack. That's really all you can say about it. So, oh, I guess we can show off some stuff here. So, you can actually mess with the video settings right while you're playing a game. You just push down and select, and this brings up the settings. Here you can access the Super Turrican, and Super Turrican 2. Go in here, you can mess with some video settings. I don't think I'm going to change much. This is kind of interesting. There's a 64 sprite tile mode, so it can display more sprites on screen without flicker. This helps with transparencies. I don't know what this stuff does. This buffer mode is kind of important. Super Nintendo doesn't run at exactly 60 hertz. It runs at, what, 60.09? And here you can get the true speed of a Super Nintendo, but the difference is negligible, and honestly, it plays worse in these two modes, so I just use the 60 frames per second, 60 hertz mode. And then some scaling stuff, resolution. System stuff's probably the most entertaining to me, I guess. These LED options. The Super NT has an LED for the power signal, of course. And you can mess with it and set it and adjust the pattern and rate at which it goes. Right now I have K-Pro Rainbow, where it just cycles through all the colors. And I can make it go faster or slower. You can't see this, but it's pretty cool. It's just a nice little feature. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. It works pretty well right out of the box, actually. But I did mess with a little bit of the settings to get a fuller picture that I liked more. Okay. Next up, we have a true unlicensed original. I just dropped my Super Game Boy. That's not a good idea. This is Digimon Adventure, which I believe runs on the same engine as Pokemon Gold and Silver, which I covered forever ago. And the question is, will it run? And shockingly, it does. Which kind of blew my mind, actually. I was not expecting that. It's just such a weird game. I was sure there was something screwy about it. But no, it works great. Well, it works as good as it's supposed to anyway. This is not a good game. It's sort of like what that Gold and Silver game would have been if you didn't have a character that could just breeze through the game. Here you only can play as Agumon, who just has a horrible jump that the engine is known for, I think, and a really bad attack. You can't actually, like, level him up or evolve him, and that makes things a little bit easier, but yeah. It's not ideal by any means. Strangely enough, though, I do feel like it plays slightly better on here. I know that that's just my mind playing tricks on me. But it does feel like it works a little bit better. Oh, God. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. This game is not good. I want to say that Vast Frame did a port of this game. There's actually a surprising number of versions of this game, including, I want to say, a Game Boy Advanced version even. And I can't remember if that was Vast Frame or possibly Syntax that did that release. But yeah, I think there's a couple versions of it. Ugh. Infinitely respawning enemies, classic. So here I think we can... yeah, there we go. We've leveled up into... I want to say this guy's name is Greymon. I'm pretty positive. I think Tom would know a lot better. I don't think he's here. I was pretty surprised to actually find out that this game had been ported. I've never really heard of something like that before, to my knowledge, where an unlicensed original like this got a port by anybody. This is one of those platformers where every movement has to be very deliberate, and also where the platforms don't actually work. I feel like his attack is slower, which is always good. Patience. Be patient. I don't know, one thing I can say about it though is that visually I think it's mostly pretty appealing. Like, I don't really get what that character is. But, what was I saying? Was I saying something good about this game? I take it all back. It's not always clear what areas you can actually reach, because you kind of clip through the bottom of some platforms. Also, I don't really think that the running helps you at all. Can't give up just 5 minutes into this one, even though I really want to. We made it decently far. I think we actually streamed this once before. And I want to say we did pretty good that time. But of course that wasn't in crisp 1080p. Everyone was demanding for a 1080p version of this. Really? I'll have to look into those a little bit closer, I guess. Because yeah, it's completely broken here. I want to say this has got some of the worst controls that I've ever encountered. But that might just be me right now. Like, even in terms of other games with pretty bad controls, like, for example, Donkey Kong Banana Boat. Like, I feel like even that game plays better than this in most cases. It doesn't help that you have respawning enemies and all sorts of other junk to contend with. Oh, man. Alright, I'm gonna play one more life. I don't know why. But it's okay, we've got some actually good games coming up. The Super NT has really reignited my love for the SNES, really. Which I was already a pretty big fan of. The first console I ever owned. And I mean, we're gonna be looking at a lot of the ones that I played, like when I first had a Super Nintendo. There's a few that we'll have to cover some other time, like Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, which is an absolute classic that I don't feel gets enough recognition. Probably one of my favorites. I think there was a Game Boy version of that. Might be worth looking into at some point. Oh, come on. Oh, man. I'm going the wrong way. It's beginning to get to me. Not sure how to feel about the music. I want to say I kind of like the music, how it's sort of jazzy. Okay, that's enough. We're done with this one. Oh, you have one of those GBA adapters. That's really interesting. I've seen those. If I understand correctly, it has its own video output, right? Like as RCA cables that you plug into the side of the adapter itself. We do have a Super Game Boy though, so we'll be looking at that too. But first, let's have a bit of a palate cleanser with one of my favorite games. Hopefully it boots right up. I think that a lot of my Super Nintendo games are pretty clean. But the Super NT kind of has some problems sometimes. And it looks like it might be having said problem. GBA on chip. Interesting. I think I've seen those. Would you recommend it? Currently, I don't think I have a real good solution for Game Boy Advance on TV. Like, I have a Game Boy player, but I don't really care for it that much. We'll try this a few more times, and we'll come back to it later if it doesn't want to boot up. I'm not sure exactly why it has an issue with this one. But I'm not the first person to report it. So I saw, who was it? Some Super Nintendo fan page on Twitter that was posting that their Yoshi's Island took forever to boot up too. So that's what I've been wanting for the longest time is a... Oh, here we go. Hooray! Is a good way to play these games on a television, a Game Boy Color especially, because Zelda Oracle of Ages is one of my favorite Zelda games. And there's really not a good way to play that on a TV, except for a Game Boy player. And that can be kind of temperamental with Game Boy Color games in my experience. Now, with that in mind, the Super NT, well, the Analogue NT Mini was a pretty decent way to play Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games at a really nice resolution to fit the screen and everything. So hopefully a jailbreak firmware will come out for the Super NT that has that functionality. But then you're playing with ROMs, so... Here we go. As you can tell, I've played this game quite a bit. We'll just jump into this file. I think that this is my same file from when I was like, I want to say 10. And I've slowly been working on it over the years to unlock the extra stuff. Let me take a look here. So I've got everything in World 1. Got everything in World 2. I have everything in World 3. What do I need to do? I have not even started here. It looks like that 3.8 score is pretty bad. World 3 has got so many good levels, but I think I'm going to play this one, and this one are probably my favorites. How about 3-1? We'll play a little bit of that. So, Yoshi's Island is one of the most beautiful games ever, and it looks amazing on this system. It's kind of shocking. At least I think. The music's great, the graphics are great. The aesthetic itself. And I always want to use this song in particular in my videos, but Nintendo always claims a copyright on it. Of course, it doesn't matter so much anymore now that, you know, the YouTube partnership thing isn't happening anymore. I totally agree. This is the best Yoshi game. I don't even think any other of them come close, really. Though I did think that Wii U one was pretty good. What was it called? Yoshi's Yarn? Yoshi's Woolly World. I thought that one was pretty good. A lot better than the 3DS game, which was kind of garbage in my opinion. And I didn't even like the DS one all that much, to be honest. And then Yoshi's Story is kind of its own thing, really. Kind of incredible that they ever envisioned that as a sequel to this. There's just so many little details here. And, I mean, it only kind of makes sense now with how impressive the visuals are, but I didn't know for the longest time that this actually made use of the Super FX chip. It's actually the second version of the Super FX chip. And this is a way better looking game than Star Fox, which obviously boasts the 3D graphics. This game uses a little bit of 3D, but it just shows, you know, what they could do with the 2D style using that same technology. It's unfortunate that they didn't use more of it, to my knowledge. I think, what, Doom, this, and there's like one other I want to say. Like, look at that rotation. It's so incredible. Oh, and the water graphics? Wow. This game blows my mind. Amazing. We'll play a little bit more of this. The one disappointing thing, as I mentioned earlier, getting an SD to SNES, actually a box from Retro Game Cases, I think was the company, came in for it today. And I was thinking, oh, it's a little bit disappointing I won't be able to play some of those Yoshi Island hacks, are out there. Oh, I was really close. Improve my score a little bit. So that's something. Because I would love to. Yeah, I totally agree. The worst part about the Game Boy player, in my opinion, is the controller. Now, I have some of those link cables, or what are they? I don't know exactly what they're called, but you can connect a Game Boy to it and use that as your controller, which helps a little bit, but still not ideal. And I know also, like I mentioned earlier, the My Life in Gaming people, they showed off some homebrew software that makes the Game Boy player much more usable. It's a little bit of a hassle for me. I kind of wish there was just a nicer solution to be able to play those games. And we'll play 3-4 as well. Now that I think about it, I could probably help the chat just a little bit by moving it there. It helped it a little bit. Still not good by any means, but the colors in this game are really amazing. Apparently gradients are kind of a special thing on Super Nintendo games, if I remember what I heard correctly. I believe it uses some kind of direct memory access to be able to achieve that. So, now that I can really see this game in all its clarity, I'm noticing these little things. It's interesting though, the game does run at like a... I don't know. I don't know if this is the right term, but smaller resolution. You can see by those black bars at the top and bottom. I don't know exactly why that is. I think it's fine though. Don't think I'll be able to kill these guys, yeah. The coolest thing for me is that at one point they were talking about releasing cartridge adapters for the NT Mini. Which means, I assume, that a similar thing would be possible with the Super NT. So that as you switch between the various FPGA cores, you could actually use the real cartridges. Which would make... The one that excites me the most, actually, isn't even Game Boy, but Game Gear. Because that's not a console that I have. And I'd like to, really see those games. I've played a Game Gear before, but I was not impressed by the screen in any manner. I actually thought it was pretty horrible. I think I've done everything I can here, actually. And the games seem interesting on it, like the Sonic games and stuff. But if I can't see the screen, then it kind of makes the whole thing sort of pointless. There's just so many effects happening on screen at once. It's unfortunate that I feel they kind of abandoned this particular style for the other Yoshi games moving forward. Like the 3DS one was all 3D, which seems kind of antithetical to the whole conceit behind this game. And the DS one looked kind of... I mean, it was trying to sort of imitate the style, but I still think it didn't look the best. Whoa! Really? Yeah, I knew that they were very similar hardware-wise. I didn't know that you could actually modify the games to get them running. I guess that makes sense. That's pretty neat. No, I think that that Switch Yoshi game looks awful, personally. Um, and I've heard like conflicting things from people. Maybe I've been misremembering this, but I want to say that like the game you only get the full experience of the game when you're playing in two-player, so that you can like move between the foreground and background. It's not even that you can like switch the way you're looking at it. It's kind of bizarre. I mean, it's an idea that I don't think's ever been done before, where you flip the entire level to get behind it. But I think that that's only available in two-player mode. In one-player mode, you actually have to go back and replay the entire level, which sounds pretty bad to me. Yeah, sort of gimmicky. I don't really necessarily see gimmicks as a bad thing. I mean, sometimes gimmicks are really good. The Switch itself is a gimmick that I think works great. But yeah, here it's like the gameplay hook isn't really capturing my attention. I can see that. I'm a big fan of Super Paper Mario, actually. It's the only one that I seem to really want to come back to a bunch. This frog. It's kind of smug looking. It's a very expressive game. Which is something you don't really see a lot from Nintendo, to be honest. This kind of super high-level expression. You also don't see this a lot. That's probably a good thing. I dread to think of what this would look like in a high definition. Or, no, not even high definition, but 3D space. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm really beginning to see, you know, how the Super FX 2 chip, you know, made this game what it is. A lot of crazy rotations and transformations and stuff. Now shoot. I haven't played much of Thousand Year Door. Or, I mean, I've played it, I think, a great deal of the first Paper Mario, but I don't know. I just never end up completing those. Super Paper Mario, on the other hand, I feel like I've played a decent amount of that one. This might have the best Mario soundtrack ever. I'm gonna throw that out there. Okay, well that was Yoshi's Island, and I could probably play this game forever. But let's move on to another game. See how it looks. Yoshi's Island definitely passes the test. It's amazing how new visuals can really give you some more appreciation for a game that you already enjoyed. Alright, what else we got here? I think this is the only Super Famicom game I've got on hand. Unfortunately, I could go hunting for one, but I don't know if I want to deal with that right now. So we'll just play a second of this, because we already basically played it earlier. This is just the Japanese version of Super Mario World. Just to show that this is region-free. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed because my file got erased, and this was the file where I got that, like 100 exit, I think it was actually 99 exits that I ended up getting on it. So that was a little bit disappointing. but it's alright. If I really wanted to, I could go back and do it again. One thing that I've got recommended to me a lot is the randomizer of Thousand Year Door for the GameCube, because I'm sort of interested in that whole scene, the randomizers. Haven't tried it yet, but I don't think I'd really be able to appreciate it, having not played so much. My plan here is I'm going to try and do the orb glitch. Yeah, losing saves is painful, especially ones from when you were young. I think I've lost a few there. What ones do I still have? I think I still have a Link to the Past save and a Mario 64 save. And my Yoshi's Island save, as we saw, but for the most part, yeah, I think I've lost almost all of them. As a kid, though, I didn't really play many RPGs, so I didn't have to deal with that so much. It's mostly platformers, but still can hurt, especially when you know, have collected everything. Yoshi, I need you. Okay, let's try and do this. It's been a while since I've actually been able to pull this off, so... Nope. Well, it was worth a try. I think we all know what Super Mario World looks like, though, so there's probably not much reason to continue. Yeah, no problem. The one that I'm most interested in right now is The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past randomizer. But I've also dabbled with an Earthbound randomizer, which is surprisingly a lot of fun. Earthbound's probably the only... Well, not the only, but one of my favorite RPGs for sure. There, we did that glitch at least. I'm gonna collect all the coins. Hey there, welcome to the stream. Okay, I'm done. It's a pretty fun trick, though. Maybe I can pull off that one frame thing. Oh my god, I did it! Wow. I believe that's called a yump. You hit the... you hit the jump button, like, I want to say within one frame when you land, and that allows you to, then jump off of the switch. Wow. Someone made a great video, Dodecahedron. He's like a Mario World speedrunner guy. And he did an amazing one where he did like 5 yumps off, and then a wall jump too, which normally you can't do in the game, but he's a crazy person, so that's a video I would recommend finding. Let's move on to what's next. Let's do some Super Castlevania 4. Now, I hadn't had this game for the longest time, but I looked into it for $25, which I thought was a pretty good deal, actually, because this one seems to be going up in price pretty quickly. Speaking of randomizers, that's going to be a neat thing about the SD to SNES, I think, is being able to play randomizers on actual and near actual hardware. that also the EverDrive will, or not the EverDrive, but the flash cart will help, because then I won't have to worry about Dracula X, which I think is like $100 or something crazy. And I really do enjoy the Castlevania games, even though I've only ever beaten the first one. Go up the stairs. Okay. So I have a problem with those stairs for some reason. I was having a problem getting off of those stairs. This looks really nice. I played this a little bit on the Super SNES Classic, which I actually do have one. I was going to make a video on it, but ultimately sort of decided against it. Didn't feel I really had that much to say about Star Fox 2, like I thought I would. I think it's pretty amazing that that got released like it did, but other than just the fact that it got released, I don't think there's really that much to say. The emulation on it is decent. I was able to get surprisingly far in Super Punch-Out. So that's a pretty good test of how good the lag is, but this definitely feels a lot better than that console did. Unsurprisingly. Very little lag here. that was pretty tricky. See, I wish I would have curated the games that I picked a little bit more, because then we could have taken a look at All-Stars. I still haven't looked at Mario All-Stars on the Super NT, but I imagine that it looks pretty beautiful. This is a good game. I don't know if it really feels like a Castlevania game too much, though. At least the first three, just because it actually controls really nice. Generally. Alright. How do I do that again? No, it's this one. I think I will actually play through the Castlevania 4 though at some point. I have this habit of getting games and then not actually beating them. Oh shoot, didn't want to do that. Then at some point, there's so much I want to do with the stream, but I do want to return to that Pokemon Diamond game that we were playing last stream, because that was pretty fun. Well, Pokemon Diamond, I guess it was Soul Silver is what I'm thinking of. The other one's based on Diamond or Platinum. One of the two. Wow, I got the most useless item ever, okay. Yeah, it's okay though. I've gotten pretty far in Castlevania 3, but I don't know, that game just always it's always so tough, especially towards the end. I've heard rumors that the Japanese version is much easier. That was nice. Which is cool anyway, because it's also got the better soundtrack. So, that's something to think about, I guess. I love the first Castlevania. I remember spending like a good 3 hours just one morning. I almost died the same exact way. I'm a genius. Just trying to get through that game. It's probably just easier to hit the guy, I guess, right? That was really close. Wow. And I know everyone hates the second one, but I would like to give it a bit of a closer look. Simon's Quest, right? That's like one of the most hated games online, just based on word of mouth. I don't know how many people have really played it, but that Angry Video Game Nerd video, it's like one of the first real gaming videos to get popular that I can think of. So it's just kind of been ingrained in the gaming culture at this point that Castlevania 2 is a really bad game. I'm not really sure of the truth on the matter. I assume it's probably pretty bad. Especially in comparison to the like first and third one and this game. But in comparison to this game, all of them are probably pretty bad. This one just is so fluid and really nice looking. I mean, you still don't have the best jump, but it's definitely a better jump than you had previously in the Castlevania series. Yeah. Let's take a look at another game. Here's one that I've been playing a lot since I got my Super NT. This is one of the first games I went to, and I played this as a kid, but only now is it really starting to click a bunch. This is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Here's my current file, I think, 35. Wait, no, that's not right. No, this is my file down here. Yes, I've been playing quite a bit, actually. So I love the first Donkey Kong Country. I played the third one because I borrowed it from a friend. Didn't really get it at the time. Then I got the second one. I want to say I also borrowed the second one for a bit. But it was kind of tough. And it didn't click with me the way that the first one did. But then now playing it again, I can really see this as the amazing game it is. It's kind of like discovering a childhood favorite all over again, I guess. Or a brand new one. Ah, shoot. I think what I'm going to do next stream, I'm going to squish the chat down a little bit and put some sort of graphic in the bottom right hand corner. I don't know of what. It'll be something interesting. This game's got just... It's so interesting because it's got so... Like, the areas that you visit are so different from the first one. It really does feel like a... Oh, shoot. That's right. It really does feel like a sequel. Not like the same game again. This offers quite a bit of new stuff to the Donkey Kong Country series. And that's the good thing about the series as a whole, is that all three games are pretty distinct. Though I do think that the first and second probably have more in common than the first and third do. Okay, I don't know. Did I do it? And I know the third gets a lot of crap, but I think it's an excellent game. It's kind of just got an annoying character. That's its biggest flaw, is just having what, Kitty Con. Aside from that, the game's amazing. And while I'm not like a huge fan of the character, and I would have rather seen like Donkey Kong be in the game, because I feel like that would have made all the characters represented equally throughout the series. But I don't think it's horrible. Like, the fact that the character sucks doesn't ruin the game for me. The Super NT isn't sold in Europe? And Diddy was somewhere. I don't know where he was, though. I'm not really sure of the state of how the NT is being sold and where. Wasn't aware it wasn't sold in Europe, though. Actually, thought I saw some people saying like day one that theirs had arrived in the UK or something. I guess it's probably just importing fees is what you're talking about, right? Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes sense. So I guess this is probably the most famous level of the game, right? Oh, that's what we should have played on Yoshi's Island, was that game's most famous level, Touch Fuzzy, Get Dizzy. But this is good. We'll see at least one iconic level over the course of this stream. Yeah. That's unfortunate. And it's not as if Analogues stuff isn't sort of cost prohibitive as it is. Especially with the original NT Mini. It's like $450. This is definitely better than that, but yeah. I can understand why you wouldn't be willing to pay that much. One thing that's good, though, is that I think we're just going to see this technology continue to go down in price as it gets more popular and as it gets better. Whoa, shoot. The music's great, and I love the level backgrounds and stuff. I don't think I've ever been a huge fan of these levels, though, in general. But I can definitely appreciate it. I have not messed with Higan at all, though I've been hearing a ton of talk about it ever since the Super NT came out, which has piqued my interest. I want to say, though, that my computer probably wouldn't be able to run it optimally. But I don't know, I'm interested in that kind of high-quality emulation as well. This is kind of tricky. I think the reason I don't like these thorn levels so much is just because of how long they feel. Seems like they go on forever. Darn. Attempt number 2. This is one of those games you can just get lost in. I think that's true of all the Donkey Kong Country games, honestly, but... Oh, shoot. I totally forgot about that. I think that it's especially true of the second and third one. That was just bad playing. The third one has that hook of that you have what feels like an entire world to explore. And of course, the overworld maps are nice in these games, but the third one really is something special. And the bosses in that game are what set it apart the most, I feel. Just completely ridiculous and unlike anything in these. The first two, I mean. Okay, that was a bad move that I kind of turned around. Here we go. I have a good feeling this time. There's a barrel right there. I'm gonna say the level's probably not over very soon then. Ah. So yeah, this wasn't my favorite as a kid, but the Donkey Kong Land game that was based on this definitely was one of my favorite Game Boy games. Just gotta kind of take things slowly, but also quickly, which is the problem. Shoot. Well, I'm making an embarrassment of myself, so we'll move on to the next game, I guess. But yeah, a great game, and it looks beautiful, as is the theme. Did I really only have 2 games over here left? I might have to go and pull some out of the closet then, I guess. So we got Donkey Kong Country and Link to the Past. We'll take a quick break from the Donkey Kong Country stuff and look at Link to the Past. This is a game I've been meaning to do a full playthrough of sometime as well. As I move forward and kind of figure out what I want to do with the stream, do I want to do these, you know, let's look at 8 different game streams forever, or do I want to actually do more long playthroughs? Haven't really decided yet. So this is the file I was sort of messing with earlier. This is Tom's file from probably years ago. This is mine from forever ago. I did a pretty complete playthrough of it too. Let's pick up here and see where I'm at. Well, I got the arrows. Did I beat the first palace? I didn't beat the first palace though. Huh. Well, let's go correct that. And run into a bush. So this is easily my favorite Zelda game. And for a while, Link Between Worlds was my second favorite, but I tried to replay that game and I'm like, oh, this is boring. So, kind of weird on that one. I think initially the nostalgia goggles just, it kind of got me. This looks like A Link to the Past, so it must be good. And I won't say the game's bad, because there's definitely ideas in it that I really like. But, and in comparison to this game, it doesn't even stand a chance. I don't really even think it stacks up to Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. Something I did forever ago was, or I attempted to do a playthrough of Legend of Zelda Parallel Worlds, which is a ROM hack based on this game. It's insane and just ugh, not really my thing. But I would like to sort of return to that when I get the flash card, because I believe there's a remodel is what it's called, where someone who you know, has a soul went back in and made the game playable. So I'm interested in that, because it was a nice looking game, just not a very nice playing game or a very forgiving game. It seemed a little bit weird. Guess that's probably how it usually happens, though. I think I've returned to this game more times than any other Zelda by far. Can I kill these guys? Or... probably. Whoa. That was surprising. Kind of snuck up behind me there. I can just go. It's fine. This one? I want to say it's that bottom left tile on the NES version of this, which I'll also do a full playthrough of sometime, because it's probably the best bootleg on the system. Maybe that's going a little bit far, actually, but it's really good. Probably the best thing by Shin I've ever played. That was almost cool. Nice. I know that the Higan thing was kind of a bit controversial right after this thing launched, just because it seemed like there were quite a few people sort of upset about how various game publications were talking about the Super NT, and sort of disparaging emulation, I guess, was the issue. I never saw any of that personally, but I don't know. I think any of that kind of like loyalty to a certain way of playing games is kind of pointless anyway. I think the more important thing is just that we're able to preserve these games and people can enjoy them in a way that works for them. And of course, a huge benefit to emulation is that unless it's a Retron 5 and they're stealing your money, is they're free. At least I assume Higan's free. I guess there are probably some emulators you got to pay for still. I know that the App Store on Android is just full of those. But usually there's alternatives. Something I wanted to do instantaneously when when I finished some of my really simple Game Boy games that I made was be able to test them on an emulator in a portable format. And since I couldn't do like real hardware with an EverDrive, those phone emulators seemed pretty good, and I was surprised to see that it ran both the games I made fine, which was a pretty nice surprise, actually. This game's also got the best Zelda soundtrack, in my opinion. Mostly for the Dark World theme and the Dark World Death Mountain theme, which are incredible and are some of the only video game songs that really get stuck in my head, actually. Can't do that. Okay, well, I'm gonna switch over to another game here, but I gotta go get some more games. So I'm just gonna pause here for half a second, and I'll be back in a minute or two. And I'm back. And as I was I went to grab some games. I'm like, wait a second, there's a reason why I wasn't too worried about this, and that's because I got the Super Game Boy. I gotta check out the Super Game Boy on this thing. Unfortunately, it's only a Super Game Boy 1, so some of the really cool features that come with a Super Game Boy 2, unfortunately not available here, but yeah. I'm gonna mess with the chat again. Still, I like the more readable version of it, I guess. Okay. So, I'm loaded up in here right now, actually. I got Donkey Kong Land 2. So, we'll take a look at that. And, of course, now there's two levels of being able to fail here. You've got the Super Game Boy not being read, and you have the game not being read. But it looks like they both actually worked out. Hooray! Oh yes. Donkey Kong Land 2. So this is actually a Super Game Boy optimized game, which means you got a nice border, some special palette options. Let's play a little bit of this. But let's go change the controls to something a human would use. But of course, in comparison to the SNES version, this game looks atrocious. But it is impressive for a Game Boy game, I think. And it's a huge, ginormous leap above the first Donkey Kong Land game, which I personally think is kind of terrible. Of course, this is a water level, which I find much less tolerable in the Donkey Kong sequels. I really love the original water levels from Donkey Kong Country, actually. But a lot of that has to do with the amazing music. I do kind of appreciate these, though, because you have something like Donkey Kong Country 4 by Hummer Team, right? Which is an 8-bit version of Donkey Kong Country. And then you have these sort of official 8-bit versions of the games. And I for the longest time, when I originally conceived the channel, actually, I had this idea for this huge Donkey Kong retrospective thing, because I just really love this series. And I thought it'd be great to cover like every iteration of the Donkey Kong Country games. So we'll look at the original Super Nintendo releases, we'll look at all the bootlegs that were released, we'll look at like the Japanese versions and how they differ, and we'll look at the Game Boy Color game and the Game Boy Advance game. It'd just be this huge big thing. It's a little bit ambitious, so that's like right up there with the Pirate Games documentary that I'm always talking about making, as things that will come when the success comes. What's most amazing about this game is how like well defined everything is for being, 4 colors. I mean, they did a pretty good job of it. The only unfortunate thing is that this is very much a port of a Donkey Kong Country 2. Like, the level design's pretty similar, and the progression's pretty similar. Whereas the original Donkey Kong Land, which plays like trash, it is generally pretty bad, is its own original thing. So it's got a lot of interesting levels. What I've been saying for the longest time is that someone needs to make a Donkey Kong Country hack. A hack of the SNES game that is based on Donkey Kong Land, so that we can kind of play those levels in a way that is fun. Oh, shoot. That's alright. You can kind of see in certain things how they were able to save on memory or whatever. On these ropes, in the normal game, there's like a state between these where you hold on to both ropes. Here, you just jump between them. They also did pretty well with the music, which is a good thing because it's one of the best parts of these games. I don't know if Donkey Kong Country would be Donkey Kong Country without the music. I guess that's a question I could probably answer, because some of the bootlegs I haven't tried yet. There's some by Ihao Yang, I think, that are based on this game, actually. So I guess I could see how they handle music and then begin to draw some conclusions. see the exit. Wait, what? Oh. Nice. A good game. I guess we can maybe fight the boss real quick. Like the fact that they were able to transfer these pre-rendered graphics, which were already pretty incredible on Super Nintendo, and get it running on Game Boy All. I mean, it is commendable. And they're all recognizable as the characters. I mean, of course, it's like it's really not comparable to the SNES version, but still. Nice. It's good. Okay, let's try another Game Boy game here. So I've got a pretty nice palette to select from. I think Game Boy is the system I collected for the most as a kid. Let's just do this because I'll be the first person to have ever done this. We'll look at the Game Boy Color fail screen in HD 1080p. And the game I'm going to use is Pokemon Crystal, because every once in a while this game kind of has some interesting things that happen with it. Like it's about to boot up and then it decides to back out, where the other games just instantly drop you to a screen that says, hey, you're not allowed to play it. Pokemon Crystal, it kind of gets a little bit farther. It'll maybe show you the credits and copyright and everything. So let's see what happens. See if it does it. I want to say it has a border too, which is kind of strange. I guess we'll see. Oh, yeah, so there it gets to like the credits and then nothing. Doesn't have a border, I was wrong about that. But look, we did it. Wasn't that fascinating? Okay, let's play some actual games now. I think I got all the big ones, I want to say. We got Wario Land, which is a classic. Both the Mario Land games. I've got this weird game called Mercenary Force, which is by Meldak and Live Planning, which is a sort of bizarre name for a company. How about this one? This one is a incredible game, and it makes really good use of the Super Game Boy. Oh, you have a Retron 5? Now, I'm not too familiar with the Retro Freak. Am I correct in believing that that also plays TurboGrafx and PC Engine games? Because I'm interested in those to some degree, and I've been talking about how I think it'd be pretty interesting to have an emulator console on the channel at some point, because we've talked about pretty much everything else, I think. And does this not look beautiful? One amazing thing is that my school actually got an original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet in what we call the Husky Den now, because that's our mascot, and it's really nice. They also got a Killer Instinct cabinet down there too. Messed around a bit with it. So basically, this is an incredible game. I think this is my completed file over here. Let's go and clear one. And when I got this, I wasn't even expecting it to be as good as it was, actually. Because you play this first level and you're like, Well, it's Donkey Kong. I like Donkey Kong, I guess. It's fine. But then it really punches you in the gut here after these first levels are over. And I think what... oh wait, I need to change the controls again. Oh shoot. Yeah, Mario. Darn. I was trying to get it to... Okay. Yeah, so you play these first levels, and you're like, oh, it's Donkey Kong. Kind of a much easier version of it. But it is much more, as it turns out. And I guess that Mario vs. Donkey Kong is kind of the sequel to this, but... oh shoot. Well, I'm doing really bad. Shockingly bad, actually. There I go, I did the... Whoa! Why didn't it let me jump through the thing? This is a much... Wow! Have I ever even died on this level before? This very stream? This is shocking. I guess I'll just take the other path. Come on. There we go. That's one thing about the Retron 5 that's really cool, though, is that you can play Game Boy games in full screen. I believe, anyway. I suspect that I wouldn't like it simply because of, oh shoot, the whole input lag thing. Retro Freak and Retron 5, okay. Well, yeah, I'll look into definitely the Retro Freak more. Something that intrigues me about the Retron 5 is the ability to patch games and play patches on the Retron. At least I want to say that's what... Was it the console? I might be getting confused here, but... I want to say that I heard that you could play patches, like translation patches on the Retron 5. So yeah, you think you win, but no. Oh, the Retro Freak has that too. Okay. And this is where the game becomes amazing. Turns out that there are many more levels. This is where the crux of the gameplay is, and getting these keys to be able to unlock the levels, the exits. So ultimately, this doesn't really, after this point, it really doesn't play much like a Donkey Kong game. I mean, you got like the concepts of climbing and avoiding obstacles, of course, but I guess ultimately, though, once I get the SD to SNES, then I'll be able to play all the Super Nintendo translation patches I could ever want. So. Oh, I didn't want to climb down those stairs. Darn. This might be the best game to show off the Super Game Boy. It's such a different kind of Mario game, and it's another example of something that I would love to see just get like an HD remake with nice hand-drawn sprite graphics. Oh, I did? Woo! It's a good game. What else can I say? I guess we'll move on to the next one. Of course, I got like Pokemon and stuff in here too. But don't really feel like playing Pokemon all that much. How about some classic Mario Land? I've actually never beaten Mario Land. Multiple times I've gotten very close. Interesting. Now, am I correct? Is the Retro Freak, like, it's supposed to be modular, right? So there's different, like, cartridge modules you plug into it? Come on. Probably the best thing I got in my Game Boy collection is a sealed copy of Mario Land 2 that I found at a garage sale. So I guess if mine ever stops working for some reason, I got a pristine version of it. Though I don't think I could really bring myself to open it up, to be honest. There we go. I don't think this game uses a border. Oh, wow. Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember this. That's the good game. This is one of my best looking games, so I'm not sure exactly why it's not loading up right away. The turbo graphics is definitely an intriguing part about that, as I have never, to my knowledge, played a TurboGrafx 16 game. Oh, this game controls horribly. I mean, not horribly, but like for a Mario game, this is not very fluid at all. It's kind of like Mario mixed with Simon Belmont. That kind of fluid in-air motion that Mario is kind of known for, I feel, is really lacking in this game. I mean, of course, it is a handheld game. But you look at like this, and then you look at 6 golden coins, and the difference is just incredible. Oh, Bonk's Adventure. That's the one I probably would like to play the most. Oh, jeez. Get out of there, Mario. Whoa. Oh, does it load off an SD card? I guess it would have to, right? Apparently, from what I remember reading, like, this isn't actually a fireball in this game, it's like a super ball. I think it's what it's officially known as, which is why it's got sort of strange properties. By far the best part about this game is the music. It's simple, but kind of perfect too. In terms of gameplay, I think it's not all that spectacular. But that's just because I've played Wario Land and Mario Land 2. Wario Land by far being the best. I wonder if there's any warp zones in this game. Well, that's cool then. Like, I like that idea. I like the idea of, you know, that sort of convenience. Alright, see you later. Thanks for stopping by. It's kind of weird. Oh, maybe that's just on Game Boy Advance. Yeah, I think it is. Where the background palette can be different than the foreground palette, which kind of gives away the location of some of those falling stones. Come on. No, I guess it's not going to work. Okay. I was hoping I could get a thing down there and I could collect all those coins. Oh, it got me? Shoot. Double shoot. Well, this time I get the coins at least. I think that the ultimate FPGA console for me at this point, I got NES and SNES, definitely a Game Boy through Game Boy Advance thing, which seems kind of unlikely. It sounds like 32-bit consoles are kind of tough, to say the least. But I can hope. It's a lovely sound. Probably the strangest experience I've had with the Super NT thus far, aside from it just kind of being finicky with Yoshi's Island for whatever reason, is that at one point it didn't read Donkey Kong Country 2 correctly. It said that it triggered the anti-piracy measure, which was super bizarre. I was almost positive that they must have, you know, worked around that somehow. But oh well, I don't think I'll have to worry about that with the flash card. Ah, no, I didn't want to do that. And I've already got a whole ROM set ready for the SD to SNES. It's got some on there that I really want to play and maybe complete, including a game based on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm usually not an anime guy at all. In fact, I kind of despise anime, to be honest. But that series is really good, I feel, so I was excited to see that there was a Japanese-only game based on it. And I really would like to check that out. Ah, my invincibility ended. And just discuss the series because I think it's one of the few anime that's actually worth discussing. believe there's only 4 worlds, if I'm correct, so we're halfway through it, right? I wonder if I should devote more time to this. I feel like that's a bad omen. Yeah, let's play another game. I'm putting this all on the backlog. Hi, Tom. Whoa. Something just unplugged from my computer, or what happened? Holy, oh my god. Good grief. Alright, let's, how far are you in part 4, Tom? Well, maybe you shouldn't say. Maybe that'd be spoilers. I don't know. What can we throw in there? Like, the number of good Game Boy games is staggering. Oh, here's one. See, I grabbed the SNES version of this, but I got the Game Boy one here. Maybe we'll save that discussion for the playthrough of JoJo on SNES. Wonderful. I find this game intriguing, which is why I want to kind of play it. Oh well, we'll play the SNES version. And this is one of my favorite puzzle games. Yoshi's got such an interesting voice. This is an incredible game, incredible music. Yoshi, based on Yoshi's Island, of course. Just wonderful. In Japan, this was known as Panel de Pong, but they made the right decision to make it a Yoshi game here, and I approve. Let's play some puzzle mode. This game is just full of things. Incredible. Really showing off my prowess here. That was weird. Oh, well, I guess it probably counts even while it's like adding up the score, right? So the bigger the combo, the longer it's going to take to... Oh, no, I see. The time on the side is a complete counter for the entire area, I guess. Oh, really? Well, it had to happen at least once. Thanks, Elgato Game Capture. Talking into the void again. Happens every time. I think it's just a thing that comes with switching out games so often, which will make it better when we play through a whole game on its own, because there won't be this switching on and off. So this is Tetris Attack. And I'm doing good. The reason why the Game Boy version is kind of interesting is because it's a Super Game Boy optimized game. which is a little bit strange when you consider that there's a Super Nintendo version of the game. Yeah, it's just a really good puzzle game, and it's got a lot of different modes. I don't think you could ever get bored of this game. I mean, maybe it's possible, but I would be shocked. Getting a pretty low time here. Am I going to be able to beat all the stages in World 1 under 30 seconds? That'd be pretty cool. Oh, wait, how do you do this one? Shoot, I messed it up. Nope, not happening anymore. I just remembered how to do it. Darn. Come on. Come on. Stop. Yes! Did it in under 30 seconds. Hooray. Amazing. Alright. Let's end off with Donkey Kong Country. One of the greatest games. And in the future, we'll be looking at the jailbreak, because I know there's one jailbreak out already, but I'm going to wait for a better one, I think. And SD to SNES, the Famicom keyboard, more Pokemon Soul Silver, all sorts of stuff. It's going to be amazing. Where am I right now? A water level. Oh. At least the music's good. These are kind of time consuming. I wanted to kind of get right into a standard level and play a little bit. Sometimes I wonder where these files emerge from because I don't recognize them all the time. Shoot. But like I said, in general, I think the water levels in this game are pretty good. Definitely got great music. I think the annoying part is just that they play so differently than any other of the other levels in Donkey Kong. Diddy. You've left Donkey Kong in shark-infested waters. And the most bulky, worthless character. Until part 3, of course, where he's replaced by a bulkier, more worthless character. I do think it would be nice, though, if part 3 had Donkey Kong and Dixie Kong. Then everyone in the series would have gotten 2 games. Instead of introducing, what's its name again? Oh, shoot. Ah, darn. Kitty Kong, I think. But in, like, the Japanese version, its name's, like, Dinky Kong. Which is even dumber. Somehow. There's actually apparently a Game Boy bootleg based on Donkey Kong 3. I want to say it was called Super Donkey Kong 5. By, Yang, maybe? They might have been responsible for that one. Something I'll probably cover at some point. needless to say, there's like so many things that need to be addressed. Curses. At least I think Tom's the only one watching me embarrass myself. This hasn't exactly been the best day for high quality gameplay moments. This time, I'm gonna lose again. I think these things are called croctopuses, even though they just look like an octopus. We did it. Which brings us to the boss, I believe. Boss that was horrible when I was younger, but is actually pretty easy. I think I saw the SGDQ is starting to take like submissions for the upcoming event, so it's nice. I love this part of the year where we start to get, you know, E3 and games done quick. All that stuff starts to happen. I guess people get angry about SGDQ for some reason. I think that that's kind of childish, but I don't know. I enjoy it. I saw some video where it was talking about how they were angry that the speedrunners have to like adhere to some sort of code of conduct. I'm like, what do you expect? It's a charity stream, usually for like cancer research. I mean, you gotta have this thing, have the optics be as good as possible. But I don't know. I'm not part of that world really, so it's hard to really know what the deal is. Oh, you can kill the green guys? I didn't know that. I thought they were invincible. Oh, this level's horrible. The snow levels are all pretty tough. But I remember this one being particularly hard. Also, for some reason, I was just reminded that there was a Donkey Kong animated television series. No one talks about that really anymore. Or maybe even ever did. I watched that quite a bit though when I was younger because it was at the video store. Wow! These pro plays you'll only see here on the Mike the Gamer Guy channel. Where Donkey Kong sings a musical number. I can't even remember about what. Something about baseball cards. Because the Tiki Man, there's like this statue that they prayed to that all the apes do. It's like all knowing. Something about the crystal coconut. Who is that movie about? It was like episodes of a TV show that were edited together to make a movie. At one point, King K. Rool loses his memory or something and thinks he's a monkey, I think. Oh, shoot. It was dumb. Dumb show. Well, that I think that wraps it up. I want to thank everyone who stopped by, even for a little bit. I think I'm slowly beginning to get a hang of talking a little bit on these streams. At least I'm attempting to. So hopefully this content will only continue to improve. and we'll play more games. We'll play a lot of interesting stuff when that flash card comes. I think you guys are going to really love that stuff. Because we'll even be able to play some of the weird unlicensed games that I do not have a physical cartridge for, like Aladdin 2000, for example, the Street Fighter Alpha port that was on Super Nintendo. The unlicensed one, that is. So, it'll be cool. I just want to thank you all for watching again, and see you later.